Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings, salutations. Welcome to And I Quote. This is the weekly show where we introduce some of the best creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this week's episode is an extraordinary individual who's a great storyteller. He also, like me, is a bit of a wrestling fan. Please welcome indie comic creator himself, not just any Todd Black, the Todd Black is in the building. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. That's right. It's the Todd Black writer extraordinaire. Ooh, yeah.
I think I understood that reference.
Nice.
No, I did. I grew up. Todd and I grew up on a lot of different eras of wrestling, so it's been a lot of fun. But we also are happy that you are here, Todd. We're also happy that you are here, maybe watching or listening to this program right now. So do yourself a favor. Don't forget to like and share with all of your friends out there. If you're watching us live on the replay, thank you for doing so. If you have any questions for our guest of honor for this week, the Todd Black, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. More than happy to take those as they come in respectively. So with that all being said and out of the way, Todd, I'm just curious, what would you say were some of your favorite comic books or writers growing up as a Padawan?
Well, when I was but a young Padawan reading the comics of the Force, grow up. My comics journey was interesting because I didn't get into the comic industry through comics. I got into it through like the shows and the movies. So like I grew up on the golden age of 90s animated superhero cartoons like Batman, Superman, Justice League, X-Men, Spider-Man, etc. And it wasn't until 18 years old that I found out that we had a local comic shop that I could go to, and I've been going there ever since. Since then, I've read all manner of comics. I got into DC via certain events. I got into Marvel via certain events. So I've read about everyone you can imagine. Like Brian Michael Bendis. I've read Jimmy Palmiotti, Gail Simone, who's crushing on X-Men. Scott Snyder, of course, via the New 52 and everything with Batman that's happened since, including Absolute Batman. I don't really have favorite writers. I mainly have favorite series that they've done. Like with, say, Absolute Batman or Gail Simone's current X-Men run. But I'm open to everything. Kyle Higgins and Ryan Perot with the Boom Power Rangers series. Like those were life-changing, especially as a, Gen 1 Power Rangers fan, Mighty Morphin. Like comics are ever growing and expanding, and you never know what you're going to like next. So I try to read what I can, try some new things when I'm interested, and see where they all go.
Oh, I can totally dig it. So when did you start writing?
I started writing in about 2014. Writing comics, I started writing in about 2014. I've been writing short stories before then, like in high school and such. And that's when I knew that I wanted to be a writer. And I went to college for video game writing, actually. And I still dream of doing that. But comic writing was something I got into because, I had grown up on superheroes. I had been reading comics for years, and I had ideas in my head. And I'm like, what would my superhero story be? And that's all I thought of what writing was, just a superhero series. Because again, that's what I grew up on. And so I went to a C2E2, the Chicago Comic-Con, and there was a panel called Making Comics the Marvel Way. And on the panel was Matt Fraction, who at the time was writing a legendary Iron Man run right after Dark Reign, during the Dark Reign time. And I was like, hey, I'm a guy who wants to write comics. What should I do? And he goes, if you want to write comics, go find an artist and then make comics. And so it took a couple of years because, you need money to make comics. Who knew? And I started writing the first issue of Guardians, which actually you could see the cover for right there on my wall. And that was the start of my journey. And now, about 12 years later, I've got over 50 books between comics and novels out, including the one we're talking about today with Seekers of Science, and I've got more stories that I want to tell, and I can't wait to tell them.
Ooh, exciting stuff! Exciting stuff! Really exciting stuff. What would you say are some of the rewards about being a writer?
Ugh. Well, the biggest thing by far is that especially when you're an indie writer, you're writing your stories. And say like for Guardians or for like my Sherlock books that I write, or I'm writing a spacefaring novel series, As We Wanted the Stars, which is like my tribute to Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5. I get to determine where the stories go and what the characters are like, and I can, throw in my references like you had in your intro video with all the quotes. I could say like, oh, I'm going to put this reference in here because I think that's funny, and someone will get that reference. Someone will get it. But the freedom is absolutely the best thing, because it's like, I want to write this kind of story, and there's nothing stopping me outside of, money and finding an artist. But eventually I will get there and I will be able to make it. And with how my mind works, I honestly think many books ahead. So whether it's for my animated series, my anime series, I wish it was an animated series. I'm working on that. Tokyo Blade Detectives. When I started writing that one, I already knew what I was going to do in like 25 issues, 50 issues, et cetera, because that's just how my mind works. Or for my novel series, As One of the Stars, I already know I'm finishing up book 3, but I know what's going to happen in book 4 more or less, and I can't wait to write it. And that's exciting for me, because I'm always pumped about where the next storyline is going to go, who's the next cool character I'm going to introduce, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of benefits to being a writer. There are also pitfalls. Obviously, I don't want to say one of the more thankless jobs, but when people say come to my Comic-Con table, they ask if I'm the artist first and writer second, which, it's fine, because you're seeing the art. You don't see the story until you actually read the books and all that, which, you deal with that. It sometimes is harder to put things together when you're only the writer, because you're usually the one putting up the money for the editor, for the comic artist, for the novel artist, and trying to make sure everything looks good. But you push through that because you believe in your stories, and you want to make these books and comics and such, and you just hope that you get to keep making them as you go on.
Very true, very true. And you kind of dove into it a little bit there, but what any other challenges that come with being a writer?
How else do I want to be here? I'll say, based on my experience alone, because I will not throw my lot in life, I suppose, against others. It's harder to get opportunities when you're a writer for, say, the bigger publishers, because you have to, first off, you have to have a finished story to give people to read. And then you have to hope that they like your story, or even just give you a chance to read your story. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to numerous Comic-Cons across the Midwest and sometimes beyond. And I've met editors from big publishers, and they go, oh yeah, we'll read your stuff. We'll do this. We'll talk. And then nothing happens, or I get a quick brush off when I do a follow-up. And it hurts, but that's also why the indie space is what it is, because you don't have to worry about that. I am my own publisher with Black Magic Wolf Productions, and I've made 50 books plus through that, with only one published book via SourcePoint Press. And am I hoping to change that in the future? Yes, I would love to do more published work, but in the meantime, I know that there is a space that I can publish my stories, write what I want to write, and then see where things take off. And Kickstarter is another great example of fueling the indie economy, for lack of a better term, because we could put books out there and show people what we are offering, and then they'll go, oh, that's really cool. I'd love to pledge to that. And hopefully they do. So, it's a lot easier to write something now than when it was back in 2014, where there wasn't as many spaces to try and make your name in your community. But over the years, and many pitfalls that I have fallen through, I've built up a community. I've continued to make books. I sell well at Comic-Cons, and I couldn't be happier with that.
Come on, man, rock on. Any other tips you would give out to aspiring writers out there?
The biggest one, as I touched on lightly, was that you have to believe in your story. Like, especially when you're a writer, if you don't believe in what you're putting out there, why should anybody else read it? And there have been times in my career where I've read a script and I go, that's good, but I'm missing something. It's not enough. And so thankfully, between my friends and my editors that I've had over the years, I've been able to go to people and go, does this work? Is this good enough? Am I missing something? I remember that happening with Tokyo on the first issue. Home, my sci-fi fantasy miniseries I did, I was having an issue with the second story. I just couldn't. The pieces weren't fitting together like I wanted. And so I went to my buddy Brian, who's one of my mentors, and I go, Brian, can you help me out here? I'm struggling. And he goes, oh, this is what you need to do. And I go, yes, that's it. And that's another great tip, is that you need to have a community that you can go to, even if it's just like only a handful of people, to where if you are struggling, you can go to them and say, hey, I need your advice. I need your guidance. What do you think of this? Or am I overthinking this? When you're a writer, you constantly overthink things. I'm doing that right now with my proofreading, where I'm like, does that sentence sound good? Should I reword that? I mean, is that phrase really usable here? We do it all the time. But you need to believe in your story so that you put your everything into it. And then if you are struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, build the community that wants to support you. I am amazed by how many people have wanted to help me over the years and continue to help me with my Kickstarters and my Comic-Cons. So like, hey, Todd, you heard about this show? Hey, Todd, why don't you jump on my show and talk about your book, like with Ryan? And every little bit helps, because it can feel very lonely in the community at times, especially when you see certain people doing so well. And the hardest thing by far is don't compare yourself to others, which is so hard to do, because sometimes you see these campaigns where they're doing like insane numbers, like tens of thousands raised, million. Like, did you see like the Dungeon Crawler Carl backer kit? Okay, well,
I think I saw that now.
I hadn't even heard of this franchise until like last month, right?
Really? And
all of a sudden it's like blowing up, like everyone's asking me about it. And then they did this backer kit thing, and it made like $2 million. I'm just like, I've never even heard of this thing before. And all of a sudden it's like, has a $2 million fan base following, like, and then you're like, why can't I get to that kind of thing, right? And then you see certain other, like, say, Kickstarters or Indiegogos or Fund My Comics, and it's like, they're raising thousands of dollars and they have hundreds upon hundreds of backers, and you're like, why aren't I there? What am I doing wrong? That's not the right way to look at it, because every story is different. Every fan base is different. Every community that an author builds up is different. And you just have to take it step by step, book by book, and try to learn, try and do better, try to grow. I'm still growing. Like, I'm 14 years-ish into my comic writing career, and I still suck at things. I'm terrible at like online marketing. I suck at it. I try to do what I can on Twitter. Yes, it's still called Twitter, and Blue Sky and Instagram. It's not working, but I'm trying, and I'm going to try and do better. And maybe one day I'll hire someone to do it for me who actually knows what they're doing. Who knows? And then there are other people who just get it, and they've done the right things to ensure that the algorithm works for them. And, kudos to them. I praise you all for doing that. But you're always going to be learning. You're always going to be growing. But don't compare yourself to others, because you don't know what it took to get there. And sometimes you do know their journey, and then you're like, oh, well, this happened. It was like, a lightning strike moment, and that led to their success. And so you're waiting for your lightning strike moment. And I get that entirely. So you got to keep pushing forward. And even though it's hard, don't compare yourself to others, because then that'll hinder you. Because you're like, why am I not doing as good as them? That's not how you should think about it. Your only thought should be, what am I doing for my next book to try and make it even more successful?
In the words of Morgan Freeman, he's right, that doesn't mean that goes back a ways. I don't know.
He's right, I remember writing books back in 1975.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh yeah. You and I both remember that. It's a fun meme. It's a fun meme to throw around every once in a while. That's when I first started using social media. That was one of my ways to communicate with people, was through memes. Memes were great, and now we have this thing called GIFs. GIFs, and I'm just going crazy using those to communicate my feelings and my thoughts. And my friends get me, because we've all known each other for like X amount of years, right? So when I drop them a Star Wars GIF or a DC or Marvel, whatever it is, And they're like, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I'm like, yeah. It's, that man's playing Galaga. I wouldn't notice, but we did.
I understood that reference.
Exactly.
I do. I mean, I get that. I understood that reference.
And that one too, exactly. And once again, just to give everyone a friendly neighborhood reminder, there's another one. This is, and I quote, don't forget to like and share. If you have any questions for Todd Black, Todd Black, excuse me. Let us know. I know, I got to get this right. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. If you watch this live on the replay, thank you so much for doing so. My gosh, there's so many references we threw out in the last 20 seconds. But no, I completely get you, man. Yeah, this is a trap I fall into every second of every day because I'm in a writer's Discord. I started writing last year, a year and change ago, I think now. And I got my first, one of the first short stories I wrote, I actually ended up getting published in an anthology. Nice. And it's great. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a great feeling. Anytime you get published in anything, whether it's your own book or you get published as a part of an anthology with other writers, of course, it's always a thrill, right? It's something to celebrate. But then once that dust settled, and I said to the people in my Discord, because we were talking about it, and I was working with them on it, I was like, yeah, I want to keep that. That was fun. Let's do it again. Seriously, let's do it again. And everything just kind of stopped because I just kept getting hit with all this stuff I had to do for work at my 2 jobs. And then once you get home from work, you're just burned out. You don't want to do anything. You just want to chill for a minute, and then you go to sleep, and then you have to get up at X amount of time, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, just so you can do your 9 to 5 all over again. And then when you get home, it's the same story. So I got a TBR over here, 600 miles deep. It's getting deeper. Thanks a lot, guys. And I want to read all this stuff, but finding the time, brother, it is not an easy thing to do. I haven't had much time to do any of my writing because I got all these ideas either in my brain or I've written them down on paper, which is, by the way, if anyone's, I don't care what business you're in, if you have an idea for something, put it down on paper.
Yeah, or even a Word doc.
A Google Doc, a Word, exactly. Like whatever those... Yeah. Apps or programs, right, Todd, whatever works for you, right? So I wrote down all these ideas that I have for all these different kinds of stories. More primarily, these are ideas for what are known as short stories because I don't feel like I'm ready to write a 20,000 word novella just yet. So we gotta hold off on that for a while.
It's whatever you want it to be. Like that's the freedom of writing is that you can make whatever you want. I have a friend named Matt Shore, and he's done comics, but he's also done like really small novels that are for like kids. Like they're horror stories for kids, and like Goosebumps or kind of thing. Really? And he loves doing them, and they sell really well. And then he did a collection of variation on Poe stories, and we were at a con together, and those sold out on the first day. Like you never know what people are gonna buy until you make them, and so there's no one path to getting to publishing. My first long form writing exercise, I guess you could say, was fan fiction. I wrote a long form story about Avatar cartoon, not blue people, and I wrote about what I thought would be a really cool Avatar after Korra, and I wrote it on a blog that's no longer up, and I lost half my story. I was really mad about it, and I grew a following through that, and that helped me understand, how to handle plot details, how to handle characters, how to handle dialogue, and it was amazing. And then I went from that to writing like teleplays of series I wanted to write. I wrote 62 scripts for a Shazam TV series because this was during the Arrowverse days, and I really thought Shazam would work there. And that was fun. And then that led to me writing my first comic because by that point in time, I felt I had the confidence to write a comic script, and I did. So write what you want to write. It doesn't matter how long it is, as long as you get it together, are happy with it, and then you publish it. It can be as long or as short as you want.
This is why we pay Todd Black the big bucks around here, guys.
Pay? No, you guys get paid?
Do we get paid? I wish we did. We don't, unfortunately. But no, you're absolutely right. But I just have this constant struggle, like a lot of people do, with comparing myself to other people when I shouldn't, because my friends in our writers Discord, because we all support each other, right? Like, Terrence has put out 3 books so far this year. I believe novellas, if I'm not mistaken, right, Terrence? I think it's novellas. And then James Dawson just put out his first book. He's excited about it, which, by the way, congratulations to my buddy James Dawson. Well done. Wrote a crime thriller called They Took It Inland. It's available on Amazon. Feel free to check it out in case anyone's a crime thriller fan. But it's just, I see all these books dropping from close friends of mine or acquaintances of mine, and I'm thinking to myself, why is my stuff not out there? Well, that's because I haven't finished writing it yet. I haven't finished editing it yet. Like, there's a lot of steps you got to take before you put something in the market and on what do you call it, on a shelf, right? So, and one of my goals for this year, like I said, goals for this year, if it happens, great. If not, there's always next year, is to put together a Kickstarter, because writing short stories is what I'm good at, and I feel like I have the capacity to write something that would be adaptable into a comic book series. And I know tons of people in the comic book space, such as our good friend Todd Black, Rob Multeri, Carissa Grant. You got Lori Calcaterra. You got
naming all my friends here.
Naming all Todd Black's BFFs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's the guys at Homebrew Comics. Like, you got all these different people that we know of in our circles. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I want to put together a Kickstarter, what do? You talk to the people who've done it before.
Yeah.
And you get their advice. You get their what is it called? Input, right?
Yeah, get their input.
You write it all down. You take your P's and Q's from them and be like, okay, I want to start a Kickstarter. How does one go about doing it? What is the first couple of steps here? And then you just ask questions, because I don't know the answers. Yeah. So it's like going to Radio Shack. I have questions, they have answers.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I speak from personal experience on this. I was doing Kickstarters a certain way up until about a year ago, and then I asked Carissa Grant and my dear friend Matt Knowles, I'm like, hey, I want to take my Kickstarters to the next level. Here's what I've done before. What do I do now? And I was doing it for the third volume of my Tokyo Blade Detective series. And Carissa, in loving words, said, Todd, you should totally do this instead of this, like you had been doing. And she said it with such a calm tone and definitely not life-threatening rhetoric at all. No, Carissa was nothing if not nice to me, as she totally yelled at me. She yelled at me a lot. She's like, Todd, why were you doing this? You were losing money. What is wrong with you? Matt said that too, but in much calmer words. Matt's a nice guy. But Chris is nice-ish. But they were very helpful. And so I made my changes, and it was mainly about reward amounts so that I wasn't leaving money on the table. And sure enough, not only did the next four Kickstarters I did for Volume 3 go super successful, they were the highest grossing I had in a long time. So that was me 10 years and 15-ish issues into Kickstarter, campaigns. And I was like, okay, I need to do better. I need to adjust. I need to learn. There's always something to learn. And what works for one Kickstarter campaign won't work for another one. There will be a fan base for one that isn't there for the other. It happens. So I'll give you a great example, Ryan. I was doing my Tokyo Blade Detective series, and it was doing very well. I was averaging about 100 backers for Volume 2, and then I went from that to a heist graphic novel called Take the House. And the first day of the first day of issue 8 for Tokyo Blade Detectives, I had about 30-ish backers on day 1. When I did the first day of Take the House, I had 11. That's a lot less. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? So I had to push hard to, get the word out there and have people give it a shot. And I had new backers who had never pledged to Tokyo, pledged to Take the House. And I had people who were, supportive of Tokyo with every issue. They were like, Take the House, that's not my thing. And I got to 100 backers, thankfully, literally in the last hour. But it was a reminder that, just because people go for this doesn't mean they're going to go for this. But you're still putting it out there. As long as it gets published, it's still a success. So, and then you'll have that to learn for next time.
Fair points. Definitely going to be consulting with our friends in our circles here about my idea for a Kickstarter I may want to do for either a straight up Western type story of a comic, or
Chris is good for that.
Chris is good. Yeah, she knows a thing or two about hunting things and putting things in the Wild West. Even Lori Calcaterra knows a thing or two about the Wild West. Patrick Pale
Rider, yeah, very successful.
Literally Eastwood. Yeah, it's like Eastwood. What if Eastwood existed in a world where it was all zombies? Trying to kill each other. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And Pale Rider is one of my favorite Eastwood Western films, in case anyone was wondering. That's a darn good movie. If anyone has seen it, great. If you haven't, please go ahead and check it out. Pale Rider's a good one. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, no, I may want to do a Western, Kickstarter for a comic book, what do you call it? A single shot, a one issue, just a one shot. A one shot is a one and done, right? So yeah. one and done, one shot of that, maybe a one shot of a sci-fi. I have ideas for like a treasure hunter type thing, and then maybe something in sci-fi. But like I said, everything has to be, refined, retooled, make sure I have all the, details ironed out and all that kind of jazziness stuff, which, comes with time and learning. Comes with learning. That's very true. So speaking of learning things, learning new skills, all those wonderful things we have out in the world, I'm just curious. There's an old tune or a phrase, and I think it goes, what was it? She blinded me with science. So I'm just curious, though. The Kickstarter that's going on right now, that's blowing up the interwebs, and everybody's talking about it. Seekers of Science. I'm just curious, what exactly is Seekers of Science, and how did this all come together for you and your tag team partners?
Yeah, so excellent restaurant reference. So Secrets of Science is a STEM education comic series. Yes, we make educational comics. You're welcome. And it stars two real friends of mine, Tamara Robertson on the left and Dr. Tracy Fanara on the right. I am the writer for the series. And in each issue, or in these cases, volumes, we solve real-world problems, real-world science. We talked about oil spills. We talk about a tree epidemic going on in Hawaii, believe it or not, caused by beetles. We talk about VR. We talk about aquaponics. We've talked about like what would happen if an asteroid actually tried to hit the Earth. And then in our current two-part mini arc, we're having talks about hurricanes, like how you learn about how they're forming, what kind of preparations do you do when a hurricane's about to make landfall. And then for issue 8, we talk about the aftermath. What are the sciences that go into bringing a community back after they were destroyed by a hurricane? And we're all very passionate about this because science, especially recently, has been kind of knocked down by a lot of people, saying it's not right or accurate when it is. So, but the other problem, and like speaking personal experience, is that science is something that if you don't connect or resonate with young people in the right way, they're not going to care. I was never the science kid growing up. I was a science fiction kid because it was cool thinking about, Star Trek or Star Wars or even things like Power Rangers, where you saw all that they could do. You're like, I would love to do that. But then you're like, hey, I need to learn about terminal velocity. No, I don't. I want to go see the Power Rangers go beat Rita Repulsa again. I was like, make my science grow. But with this comic, what we're doing is we're trying to make it easy to understand, easy to pick up. And then we have not only fun visual stories, but we have DIY experiments you can do. We have interviews with experts in their fields so they can tell you about how you can get into these fields. And we're trying to show the wonders of STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, mathematics, in a way that honestly hasn't been done to this level before. And we've got 8 issues. As you can see over there, we have hit our funding goal. And now we got like 5 days left. And we're trying to get just as many people to check this out because we really think this could be something that becomes an educational instrument in schools and libraries and more.
That's really cool, man. Honestly, and I kind of relate on the same front. I struggled with science. I didn't always understand it. I didn't always get it. There was one class I really enjoyed when I was younger, and it was honor. I believe it was honors. Was it honors Earth Science? No, it wasn't Earth Science. I don't think it was Earth Science. It was honors astronomy. I love astronomy.
I love astronomy too.
Love stars, planets, galaxies, because we see this. You see this stuff in a fictional sense in the movies, like you mentioned with Treks and Wars and all these other wonderful sci-fi properties that have been around for many, many eons, or some of the newer stuff, like The Expanse or Battlestar Galactica, all these different things. And I'm thinking, this is really cool on television, but like, I'm just curious, like what, because when you see the images, by the way, and this is something a lot of you may have grown up on, images from the Hubble Space Telescope. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. No, they're beautiful, Todd.
Yeah, they are.
Those images are, I'm thinking to myself, if this is what our galaxy / what do you call it, our solar system, the universe looks like, look how amazing that is. That's amazing. Like, I mean, how does that work? How does it form? What does it shine like that? What kind of colors come out of it? Like, it's those questions fascinate me. So when I took that class, I think, what year was this? Was this high school? It may have been high school that I took this course. I think it was like 9th or 10th grade, Todd. And let me tell you, we had an astronomy club. We would go out, we would have our telescopes, look up into the skies, hang out with our fellow members of the club, our buddies, our friends. And it was very, very good to me. Astronomy, very, very good to me. And again, You know, once again, it reminds me of Star Wars, Star Trek, and the other stuff I watched. What was another one? The first episode that I think it was the first ever episode of the Magic School Bus was called "The Magic School Bus Gets Lost in Space." Todd.
Don't think that was first episode, but they did do a. They did a. I remember the space episode, and it was because it was with Janet, and Janet wanted to get a sample from everything, and then Arnold went to Pluto and took off his helmet, which would have killed him instantly. But let's not get wrapped up on the details. It's a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved Magic School Bus, and this is our in our way a tribute to like what that show did, because it was trying to make science visual and interesting to people in a unique way, and we think that this could be a way to inspire the next generation of STEM makers and creators, and that's why we're doing our all to not only get this funded, but make sure the future is funded, and just make as many of these as we can.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all great. I mean, I'm 100% with this. I mean, the covers look great. The art looks fantastic. It's very, colors are bright. Colors do something. And people have been saying this for years, but we do it anyway. Never judge the books by their cover, but we do it anyway because these covers look fantastic.
Yeah, those were all done by Alex Garcia, who's been my longtime comic artist, and he's done really well with these, and we're just trying to make them pop, and while also showing the sciences that you're gonna be observing while reading. So.
And it looks, and like I said, the covers look incredible. The storyline looks amazing. I mean, these two going, kind of reminds me a little bit, just a little bit. I know it's not exactly the same thing, but there was I wouldn't say it was a science type show, but it was an animated series that talked about taking care of the planet and the environment. And when you
Cat Planet.
Yeah, when you put the T-shirt on and the ring on, by your power combined, I am Captain Planet. And I'm just thinking, yeah, that was a cool show back in the day. And the fact that you had LeVar Burton, Whoopi Goldberg, all these other actors, even Madonna was a voice actress on the show, I think, at one point. So it's like you've got all these actors voicing these iconic characters, and I'm thinking, why? I mean, I know they've attempted. I think they just signed a deal where they're going to reboot it. I think the Captain Planet Planeteers as a movie or something like that. And I'm thinking you should probably keep it animated because I don't think Captain Planet would translate well to live action. I don't think it would work
unless he's Don Cheadle.
Well, unless it's that Funny or Die sketch, yeah. I mean, but I still don't. I don't know if it's gonna work, but yeah, no. Going back to Secrets of Science, this campaign looks amazing. There's some great, levels, great tiers that people can reach for. There's what is it? You got PDFs, you got physical copies. There's also a point where you can actually get yourself drawn into the book. Is that right?
Correct. We've tried to make this as accessible as possible. You can get them digitally, you can get them physically, you can get them in English, you can get them in Spanish. We even have a flip book version where you'll get English on one side and then flip it over and you got Spanish on the other. And then, as you mentioned, we have the get drawn into the comic book tier. We had a couple people pledged to that already, but that's limited, so you better get it in soon. Again, we got 5 days left, but you'll be shown alongside Tamara and Tracy helping with the hurricane cleanup in issue 8. You also can get virtual thank yous from the SOS team, including myself, should you desire. There are also special outreach packs where you'll get multiple copies. Actually, I have volume 1 right here, where you can get multiple copies of volume 1 or volume 1 and volume 2, so you can distribute them to, say, like your local schools, your local libraries, or giving them as gifts to people whether it be family members or friends or whatnot. And we're trying to offer this in as many ways as possible, so that if you only want volume 1, we offer that. If you only want issue number 8, we offer that. So no matter what you can pledge to, we likely have something fun for you. And we've got merch, we've got stickers, we've got you could get your name into the thank you section of the 8th issue, and so on and so forth. So there's plenty of rewards to check out, plus the add-ons. So go see what you might be interested in. And if you have any questions, feel free to message us via the Kickstarter. We'll happily get back to you.
Yeah, I'm noticing there's a merch bundle here with some really kick-ass swag. Stickers, the shirts. There's hats available. I see. Yeah, there's a trucker hat.
You'll get autographed postcards from Tamara and Tracy. That's a popular one so far. So, yeah.
That's some really good merch, man. Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Anyway.
I'd buy that for $1.
Exactly. You know, the funniest thing about that is that both Spaceballs and RoboCop turn the big 4-0 next year.
Mm.
Isn't that wild?
Mm.
That is some wild shiznit if I ever heard it. I got to be honest. I mean, heck, we were just talking about this a few months ago. Highlander, there can be only one. Turned 40 this year. It's insane.
Yeah, and then the reboot with Henry Cavill's coming soon.
Yeah, my boy Superman is he's doing quite well. Henry's doing quite well for himself. I'm so proud of him. So proud of him. I'm excited to see. And by the way, it's been described as John Wick with swords, the Highlander reboot, because it's being directed by one half of the directors of John Wick. So, yeah, I'm excited. If you can't tell, I mean, Henry Cavill, Dave Bautista, Highlander reboot / whatever. I'm jacked. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I am. I don't know how you feel about the reboot, but you know.
That was a John Wick line, dude.
Oh, thank you. Okay, all right. Sorry, it went completely over my head, just like Jack. Nothing goes over my head. That one did. See what I did there? See, we're getting better at this. But yeah, no. Secrets of Science looks fantastic. Congratulations to you and your team, the team over there. It looks phenomenal. And you said the hurricanes being explored in the issue. Was it issue 7 and 8? I believe.
Yeah, issue 7 was about like researching them, like
stages.
Yeah, like there's a group called the Hurricane Hunters who literally fly into forming hurricanes and drop sensors, which we show in the comic, to highlight how they get the data on the hurricanes and then try to predict where they'll make landfall. And then Tamara and Tracy go to the affected areas to try and prep them and help with evacuation procedures. And then issue number 8 is the aftermath, where the hurricane has come and gone, and now they have to deal with the fallout, the destruction that's happened in various towns and the sciences that go on to try and get a single community or even just a group of communities in a local area back up on their feet is far more advanced than you might think. And you might look at like the preview pages we have in the campaign and go, well, that looks science fiction. Like, no, this is incredibly accurate, scientifically accurate as possible. We had numerous experts that Tamara and Tracy talked to or had personal experience with to discuss how they have used various technologies to try to get into our hurricane affected areas. We show in one of the preview pages that there are these drones that were created to use special GPS to be let out of planes and then land on the ground on their own without like the need for parachutes or whatever. And that way the plane itself doesn't have to land. They can just drop the drones out, and then the drones themselves have the supplies the people on the ground need, and then they can land it exactly where they need it to. And so that was a very cool piece of technology that I found out about. Then there's a special system that helps get stores back online, and that way they don't have to worry about government funds, which anyone who's been through a hurricane knows, like that can be hard to get, especially when they're not on their toes and ready to get you what you need immediately. This gets the stores back up so that your credit cards, your debit cards will be activated or able to be used via satellites as quickly as possible so that you can get the necessary supplies that you need. And that doesn't even talk about like rescuing. And Tamara has a dear friend who literally built a makeshift boat out of a car using basic supplies he got from Home Depot. And we're going to show that in the issue because he used it during an actual hurricane. And it was crazy. He basically got a Jeep to float and put an outboard motor on the back and just putted around so he could get to people in flooded areas and take them to safety. It's wild. It's on YouTube if you want to go watch it. But Tamara has she's been to multiple places that have been affected by hurricanes, including Puerto Rico. So she was infusing her own experience into this issue, and I was learning so much. I'm like, oh, so this is what's going to happen. She goes, no, it's more like this and this. And I was like, the phrase "blinding me with science" is very much what happens with each issue for me, because I as the writer have to take their scientific experience and we make like what we call tech briefs, where we're like, okay, here's what we need to have in this issue, here's the experts we're going to have, here's what we definitely need to showcase, so on and so forth. And I have to take that, compress it down, and make sure it's understandable without betraying the science itself. And so for issue 8, I kept getting things wrong because I was misunderstanding what she was telling me. She goes, no, it has to be like this and this and this. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's a process, but it's very, very educational, just as a writer. And then I have to get to share that with the reader. And then we have like little SOS facts scattered throughout the comic to add extra details about things you might have thought about, like why aren't these things happening, what's happening here and here, and so on. And it's a lot of fun. I've learned so much through the series, and I'm excited to keep making more issues so that we can further highlight all these various STEM fields and why science is everywhere. You just have to understand what you're looking at. And that's, for me, that's one of the biggest goals of the comic, is that we can show people like, oh, science is this. Like, no, science is a lot, even if you don't realize it. So,
wow. I mean, I gotta tell you, after hearing all this after hearing all these wonderful stories about how this comic book series known as Secrets of Science came together, I mean, and all the enthusiasm we've been hearing and sensing coming from you, and the vibes we're getting from this comic by looking at the Kickstarter campaign, all the wonderful things that come with it. I mean, that's the only reaction I have to it is this.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
I mean, honestly, I mean, this is just so freaking cool. I mean, this is coming from somebody who wasn't necessarily a fan of. I mean, I respected science as a kid, but like, it wasn't my thing. It just wasn't my draw. My draw back in the day was English classes to a certain extent, not all of it, because certain books we had to read, I just could care less. I'm sorry. Honestly, I mean, look, I know The Great Gatsby is one of the greatest American novels ever written, but it is so depressing.
It is.
What happens in that book? I don't know.
We had to read that.
It was, dude. That is a depressing book. Like this, it makes me not want to read. It's like, if all the stories are going to be this depressing, why would I want to read something like this with a scarlet letter? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid and you're in a school, you have to do that. Like, they require you to do certain things, right? But when I hear this, it's just, okay, I can discover science on my own. It's not going to be complicated. I can understand it, because it is explained in the comics. So I'm not going to be, losing track, or what's the word? Be confused as to what's going on. And I respect that about this creation. I respect that about Seekers of Science. So,
and that's what we're going for here. That's what we said. We're trying, like Tamara, one of her things that she's really passionate about is that she wants to make an actual curriculum based on each issue.
Really? So
that you could read the issue or the volume, and then the teachers or the librarians or the science camps or whatever, they'll have a special curriculum to where they say, like, okay, now that you've seen this, let's put this into practice our way, or here's other things you need to learn so that you can understand this even more. And even if we don't get to do that with this particular Kickstarter, though there is still time to reach it, that's something that Tamara really wants to do in the future. And I'm all for that, because we think this could be that thing to help resonate with people, so that they're not just like, oh, great, another science lesson. It's, oh, I understand this, and wonder what they're going to do in the next science or Secrets of Science issue, because as we all know, Ryan, nothing stops this train.
That is, gee willikers. That is very true. That is very true. No, like I said, not to sound like the most broken record ever made, but this just sounds so freaking awesome. And
So
I
you should
hope
push the Kickstarter then.
Yeah, yes, and I hope that more people read up on this, take a look at it, share with their friends, because they'll tell their friends, and they tell their friends.
And that's one of the most important thing about Kickstarter is that you might be watching this and go, Todd, I feel the passion coming off of you, but this isn't a book for me. That's okay. Maybe you know someone, though, who would like. I was talking with Ryan before the show, and he's like, yeah, I know this astrophysicist, and I sent the link to her. And maybe someone in his writing group that he was talking about earlier, maybe they would want to pledge to it. And that's cool, because I can't tell you how many people I reached out to in the early days of the campaign, and I was like, hey, I'm not asking you to pledge, because I really didn't want to do it with this campaign, because it was a very different kind of comic from, like, say, Tokyo or Take the House. I was like, I'm not asking you to pledge, but do you know someone who might? And I had an overwhelming response of, yeah, I know someone who might like this, and I don't mind playing telephone. So if the telephone here is you watching me, and then you reaching out to a friend, a family member, a fellow nerd that that might be interested, that's totally fine. That helps, because it gets the word out there, and then they might get the thing like, maybe I would like this book, or maybe I know a kid or a family nephew or whatever. I know someone yesterday who pledged the book not because he wanted it, but he wanted to give it to his nephew who's really smart. So I'm like, there you go. That's all it takes. So share it around, see if you know someone who might like it, and that helps in the end.
Very true. Every little bit helps, ladies and gentlemen. That is certainly true. Here's one for you. Have there been any special memories for you from being at book signings or conventions or other events, whether you're there as the vendor or the attendee?
Oh, every Comic-Con is his own experience, you know.
I'm sure it is, including C2E2. I'm sure that is. That's one of the bigger ones in the world.
I didn't get to go to that this year. There was a scheduling conflict between that and Planet Comic-Con Kansas City. And I went to Planet Comic-Con because it is consistently my best-selling con of the year by like a wide margin. So the memories for that show were numerous, just because all of us creators who knew about the conflict were like, is the attendance going to go down because of the same day scheduling? And it didn't. There were so many people at Planet Comic-Con, including on Sunday. I was amazed by how busy Sunday was. And Friday was a good sales day for me. Saturday was like my best sales day ever, I believe. Sunday started slow, and I was in full-on depression mode. And then it finally started picking up, and then it got so much that I actually lost track of how much I sold, up until I met a recurring buyer of mine, and I knew that he had put me over. And I said, I want to shake your hand. And he goes, why? And I go, because the 2 books you just bought put me over my best ever con goal. And he was so happy for me, and it was a great moment. But there are always moments at Comic-Cons that are special. I'll tell you from one from last year's Planet Comic-Con, not this year's.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the show, and one of my books was a crime noir called 5 Bullets, 6 Men. That was the Source Point Press book I mentioned.
Ooh.
And within the span of like 30 minutes, I sold 4 copies of that. And 2 of them were literally, a guy came over, looked at the book. I told him what it was. And he goes, done, buy it. And then right as he left, a guy came up to the table and goes, did you say you have a crime noir? And I'm like, yeah, I have that. And like, he took like one look at it. He goes, done, I'll buy it. I'm just like, okay. And then 2 more came in with like less than 30 minutes. And I'm like, so that's, 4 sales in half an hour. I'm like, why can't it always be this easy? Like, why did this happen? Like, I don't know. So yeah, every Comic-Con experience. I had 2 recent ones in Illinois recently, and then thankfully I've got the next month off before I do one in Indiana and another in Illinois. But you always have memories, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. And I'm always excited when I go to a Comic-Con, because it's another great way for me to put my name out there, put my books out there. When I was doing my most recent one, SalukiCon in Carbondale, Illinois, I had multiple people who were returning buyers, and they go, oh, I got these books last year. And I'm like, well, which one do you want to get this year? And they go, well, and so we talk, and they usually bought something that made me happy. And then I'll meet new people like, oh, I've never seen this before. I'm like, yeah, well, these are my books that I've made. They go, oh, you made these books? And then hopefully they buy something. And if not, at least I entertain them by telling them what I had. Cosplayers, I always enjoy looking at the cosplays. They're always so incredible. Even at the small town shows, there are plenty of people who go all out to make sure their outfits are spectacular. So props to everyone who does that. I do sometimes try and meet celebrities, but it's not my priority. My priority is to sell my books. And but I've met some cool celebs over the years, and we'll see who I get to meet later this year. But every con's experience. I love doing as many as I do. I would love to do more, but they're also so tiring. They are so stressful and tiring, especially when you're doing a 3-day show like I will be doing at Indiana Comic-Con in the first weekend of June, or C2E2, or Planet Comic-Con, or Grand Rapids Comic-Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That was my last con of last year. And even though it was a highly successful show, my first time I'd been there in 3 years, it was so stressful. And I was literally crammed into my Artist Alley booth because the people on the left weren't giving me any leeway, and there were like 6 people in the booth to the right of me. But I was there. I made it work. And I got a lot of sales, so I was happy about that. But for creators out there, look to see where the cons are. You never know where you're going to find the con. I'm amazed by how many are in Illinois every year, or Indiana, or in Missouri, Michigan. Iowa. Iowa's got a lot of them. Like, really? Iowa?
Home of the cornfields?
Yeah, no. And I'm an Illinois boy. I know all about cornfield, but
Illinois. Chicago with them beers.
Yeah.
And deep dish pizza. No, I'm just kidding.
How about that draft? We got a lot of good people in that there draft. I was in Chicago for 2 years for college. That's
were you?
Yeah, that's where I started my Comic-Con journey, was C2E2, because I was reading a comic book in my dorm room, and they're like, C2E2 in Chicago. I'm like, wait, that's where I am. I can go to this. Is this possible?
This is accessible.
Yes.
Yeah,
they even had shuttle buses. I remember that. Like, they had shuttle buses from the comic book store to the convention.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I just walked to my comic book store, went right to the convention. So good times.
That's a sweet ride. There you go. C2E2. In case anyone's wanting this chance for Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of big names are there every single year. They did the 40th anniversary of the Breakfast Club reunion, which I thought was huge.
I was there last year for that.
That was good. Massive, because that was the first time all of them have been together all in one room at the same time in like forever.
Forever.
Oh, yeah, almost 40 years. So that's some wild shiznit. Another comic creator we know of, Joe D. McPhee, is always there at Chicago.
Oh, yeah, Joe. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. He was one of the first people I met when I was doing my comic thing.
He's a nice dude. He's got a lot of wisdom, too. Yeah. A lot of wisdom. And he knows his comic books. Oh, my gosh. That guy can talk She-Hulk and Wonder Woman to death. The guy knows. Did you ever notice that about him? He knows so much about that series. Like, we each run, what's it called? The writer, the color, whoever it was. And I'm thinking, Joe, how do you do this? I don't get it. It's just amazing. And he's a massive comic book collector, in case anyone's wondering. Yeah. No, honestly, he's shown me some, some single issue comics he's collected over the years. Some ones that he got, slabbed and graded, I think it is.
Yeah.
He's big on that. I'm thinking, dude, Joe, I don't know how you do it, brother, but more power to you, because anyone who's a collector like that could keep all that stuff in a certain area of the home, or if you have to, for goodness sake, if you have to rent out a storage locker.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. Definitely not.
No, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that have to store their collectibles to a certain extent in a storage locker because they don't have enough room in the house.
Yeah.
So
been there.
Just throwing that out there. but no, it's all fun. Yeah, and going to Comic-Con is a lot of fun. I mean, Lord knows I've had my fair share of memories over the years, and we're going to make even more as we go to our next show, which in our case here at Anti-Quote Channel, we're going to be at Fan Expo in Philadelphia. At the end of May. The cast of Smallville celebrating 25 years is going to be in the building. The cast of the original TMNT 1990 live action movie are going to be in the building that weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I've met some of them, not all of them though. I've met Robbie Rist, who was Michelangelo. I've met Judith Hogue, who was, OG April O'Neil. She's sweet, by the way. Such a sweet lady. She is great. She's better than great.
She was a great April, like just period. Like that movie. Last year. It was the year before that. I was at a small con, and they were playing movies, and they played the 1990 original TMNT live action. Yeah. And so, like, I'm doing my thing, and I'm selling and then they had it literally projected on a wall, and I'm watching it, and like this so holds up, and I'm watching how they handled the best live action version of Shredder. There is no competition. Shut up if you say otherwise. Like, best live action Shredder in that movie, best live action April O'Neil by landslide, anything close. Great job with Casey Jones. Great job with the Turtles. Like, it was 90s perfection. It was comic book adaptation perfection in the 90s, and they did the sequels, and I like the second one. Third one was hilariously weird.
Time travel. 1600 feudal Japan.
Yeah. Hey, let's have the samurai play hockey with Casey Jones. Like, okay. But like that first movie, like it holds up. A Splinter, great version of Splinter.
Oh my gosh, yes.
My sons.
It's so good.
Yeah, and like you think that like we just need to. You think people will go, hey, we just need to make that but better, even better, and then they go, no, we need to have that but worse. Like, let's have Michael Bay do it. What could possibly go wrong?
You mean Bayformers? Yeah, Michael Bay do his own iteration. Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't hate the first Michael Bay produced film of TMNT. I thought it was okay for what it was. But then when they came out with Out of the Shadow, I'm thinking, oh, this is utter garbage. It is so garbage. Garbage.
I refuse to watch.
There's toilet bowl humor. There's all this kind of stuff. None of it.
They degraded April. Because they had Megan Fox as April. They went to the lowest bar.
Yeah, it just didn't work, right?
That's why I praised the 1990 version, because she was a freaking reporter. Like
she
she
knew what she was
acted
doing.
like that. She acted logically. She acted rationally. She was a freaking reporter, and she held her ground. My favorite one is when she's getting chewed out by the commissioner, and and she's like, are we done here? And he goes, are you telling me I do my job?
107.
Yeah,
record.
Exactly.
Oh, my Lord.
She was great.
She was fantastic, and I had a conversation with her years and years ago. And once again, this goes back to AwesomeCon DC because it's near where I live in my neck of the woods. Because I'm in Maryland, so from here to DC, it's like an hour and change, right? It's not that far. But I go to there and I see April. Now, granted, the first time I met Judith, she was wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but I was wearing the wrong kind of outfit. I was wearing a Superman shirt because I was there to meet some of the members of the Superman DC legacy family at the time.
Right.
So I was wearing the wrong shirt. She was still great. She was wonderful. I love her no matter what. But the next time I see her, which is going to be in Fan Expo in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, more specifically at the end of May of this year, I have all the NECA figures of the Turtles and April O'Neil and Casey Jones, if he ever shows up to conventions. I'm going to have Judith Hogue sign her April O'Neil figure. And I'm going to say to Judith, Judith, I want you to sign this with your favorite line from the original film. You pick. I don't care what line it is. Just sign it with whatever line you want. You can sign it in green ink. You can sign it in yellow ink because of the slicker that you wore in the opening scene. It's fine. It does not bother me in the least. Do whatever you wish, and it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, I've met Robbie Rich who played Michelangelo. I have met Kevin Clash, who was the voice of Splinter, and he was so cool because I said to him, Kevin, I'm just wondering, would you mind signing this with your favorite line from the original film? And he did. And he actually sort of kind of said it in the same, voice that he had from the original film. And I'm like, bro, that's so awesome because he signed it in green ink, mind you, on my NECA figure, because I have a NECA figure of Master Splinter, with all due respect, Todd. He wrote, I have always liked Cowabunga.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I made that funny.
That's exactly like I come on. I mean, nothing, and I agree with what you said earlier. Nothing's going to top that. Nothing can beat that in terms of adaptations of the original TMNT comic books series by Laird and Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman. So
yeah, Eastman.
Which, by the way, I've met Kevin Eastman, and he signed my Last Ronin hardcover. He signed it with his favorite line from the original movie, and he signed it out of all the lines he could have picked. He picked this one: "Pizza dude's got 30 seconds."
Yeah.
And I said, Kevin, why did you pick that? And he said, because it's my favorite line in the movie, because they threw it in there. I just love it.
I want to add to that because I want to talk about the next part of the line. So I'm with my parents.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going off on something. I don't remember what it was. And I go, my mom's like, Todd, you need to have forgiveness. And I'm like, Mom, in the immortal words of Michelangelo, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. And she is in the kitchen. She like shakes her head. She goes, I guess I didn't realize Michelangelo said that. And I go, yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. And she goes, oh. She thought I was talking about the artist.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was hilarious. She's like, I guess I didn't realize Michelangelo said that.
No.
Because she thought I was joking with her. She goes, no, yeah, Mom, Michelangelo, TMNT.
No, it's real. Yeah, the character said in the movie, it's true.
I say that line whenever I feel it's fitting because that's one of my favorite lines in the movie. It's like, this isn't even my route. Forgiveness is for divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Oh, come on. I couldn't find the place. Yeah. And he says, I got to get a new route. I thought,
exactly that. See, that's the thing. Like those lines, that dialogue was
so good.
Classic.
It is. People use it all. People use these lines all the time, right? I mean, I've used. Now, granted, I don't always say this, right? But I think they're in certain parts of my conversations with my friends, whether I'm at work or another place. Place is the key word here. I'll drop. I think he's I think he's actually turning red. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. Fight. Kitchen. Yeah. It's just.
Yeah. Do you like penicillin on your pizza?
Exactly. Exactly. Me personally, this is going back to the very beginning. My favorite part of the whole movie is when they're in the sewer after they had their first fight, and Mikey gets on the telephone, the payphone. Okay, guys, the payphone.
Yeah.
And he's ordering pizza, and he's telling no anchovies. You put anchovies on this pizza, and when Splinter throws the book right in his head, if not his shoulder part, and it's Michelangelo, I burst out laughing so hard. I'm like, man, whoever the writer of this script was just spot on with everything they were doing.
Yeah,
There is not a wasted moment of film. There's not a wasted moment of dialogue. Like every part of it makes complete sense. Now I'm hoping, I don't think she's going to notice this or not, but if I walk up to Judith Hogue at the convention we're going to next month and I say to her, bad timing, I want her to look at me and say, you're telling me, get her pissed.
Yeah.
Do the line, and I'm like, I gotta watch. It's just, oh god. Anyway, aside from the fact that Todd Black and Ryan of Antico Channel love TMNT 1990 profusely, which is a true statement if I've ever said one on this broadcast, Todd, this has been a tubular, radical conversation about comics, about life, about movies that make us smile, about Secrets of Science, which is going to really make a huge impact on a lot of people. Whether you like science or you're just being introduced to the subject matter, you're going to get something out of this. You're just going to get something out of it. You're going to enjoy it. So for someone who's interested in learning more about you, your comics, your stories, of course, Secrets of Science, where can they follow you on social media?
Well, for those who don't back the Kickstarter, we do have a website, secretsofscience.com. You can get all the issues there, physically, digitally, English, Spanish. I'm on Blue Sky. I am on, just look up Todd Black. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Guardians_comic right here. I am on Facebook. We do have a Secrets of Science Facebook page. We've been bringing that back to life for the Kickstarter, so feel free to follow that if you do decide to pledge. That's pretty much it, honestly. But again, every little bit helps with the Kickstarter, so please check it out, share it around, pledge if you really like it. We got lots of great rewards for you. Just give it a chance and let science shine. It's righteous. Boston Nova. Boston Nova? Cherry Nova?
No.
Excellent.
Let's go. And I'm starving. Give me 3. You got it. There's so much 3. About that movie.
Yeah.
There's a word we use to describe movies like this, and that is perfection. It just is. It is. It's perfection. Just like Magneto said in First Class. It's perfection. Yeah. But this has been fun, man. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to talk to you here again momentarily, so stick around for me. My name is Ryan of Anti-Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media. Simply at, where am I pointing to? Where is it? At Anti-Quote Channel. Anti-Quote is on Saturdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Movie watch-alongs, where we celebrate a movie that turns a certain age, is on Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Our new show that's been blowing up the interwebs more recently, talking about Star Wars, more specifically, the great new series, Maul's Shadow Lord, the Shadow Councils every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. However, I do want to inform you that on Saturday, May the 2nd, we're pushing it back to 1 p.m. Eastern Time to accommodate some of our co-hosts and co-producers' schedules. And we want you to join us for that. It's not only going to be an episode of the Shadow Council, but it's also going to be our May the 4th Be With You celebration, celebrating all things Star Wars in a galaxy far, far away. That's science for you, isn't it, Todd? Science! So join us on Saturday, May 2nd, 1 p.m. Eastern Time is when we're going to go live with that one. So if you want to check out my short story, it's a straight-up Western. It's called Wolf of the West, which is published as a part of the anthology Western Tales Volume 1, put together by Veritas Entertainment. It's available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover on Amazon.com, or you can go to VeritasENT.com to purchase a copy of it there, or find the links to purchase said copy of Western Tales Volume 1, among other titles that have been put together by the wonderful team over there at Veritas Entertainment. So that is going to do it for that. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when the videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look.
Hey everyone, Bonnie Gordon from Star Trek Prodigy here. Make sure to tune into And I Quote podcast on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe.
I've been a superhero for a long time. It used to be so simple. You catch the bad guys, do the right thing, save the world. Then I met Aiden, and things got complicated.
Iris recruited me as a kid and turned me into their own personal weapon. I couldn't see any way out until I met Marty. But now we're going to burn their entire organization down if we can.
Forces of Nature, books 1 and 2, Scorcher and Thin Ice are available now wherever books are sold online. See www.kellygentner.com.